Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. Great to have you back on the channel. Welcome back to all the subscribers, all the new subscribers. Great to see you here. The show is being recorded for Sunday, June 19th, 2022. And as always, these shows are for entertainment purposes only. So all the information I share with you comes directly through my guides, angels, extended spiritual team, counsel, ETs, famous people from history, so for entertainment purposes only. Also, if it needs to reach me, just look for sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the Book a Session tab. It's very easy from there. All the questions that we answer on these shows come directly from our community board. We actually place a request out each week on Mondays for questions for the following Sunday's show. I think this week we had something like 400 questions. Then my wife does go through those and tries to put together a selection of questions that have not been answered before. And then I answer them for you here real time on the show as I go through them. Also, we're running a contest. Every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers, I think right now we're headed for 24,000 subscribers, give away a free half-hour session with myself. And the easiest way to enter is to place comments in these shows, starting off with the word love. That's how we know you want to enter the contest. And then on the show where we cross the next level of 1,000 subscribers, it's on that show that we select the winner. So good luck to everybody. So thanks for joining us and taking the time on this Sunday to be with us. I had a couple of requests for mediumships on this show, even with the questions. The two individuals that came up were Edgar Cayce and Judy Garland. So actually, I thought I did both of those this morning. I brought both individuals through, and I want to share the messages I got from both of them here at the beginning of the show. What's interesting is that at first, I'm not sure why both of them want to kind of come through together. But it turned out there was an overall message of what I'll call balance in life and things. And they kind of thematically, they both had the same message. So I'm going to share with you now. We'll start off the show here because the first question was, does Edgar Cayce have a message for us? And I'll read back what he told me this morning. I want everyone to know that the spiritual gifts you saw me use are available to all of us. I always use the term higher self, but understood that it was my spiritual team that assisted me. It was hard for people to understand the connection I had with my spiritual team. And unfortunately, based on the time period I lived in, there were many people that did not believe me. The information I shared with the world always came from my higher spiritual team, and I always wanted the best for everyone. If I lived in the 21st century, I would have been able to achieve a better balance between my human life and spiritual life. I encourage everyone to develop your own unique gifts and share them with the world. So a great message from Edgar Cayce. And now question, does Judy Garland have a message for us? And when I talked with her this morning, here's what she had to say. Life balance is such an important concept in this world. Balance between family, work, spirituality, self-love, and making a difference in the world. The world is going through a troubling time period right now that will take a much better path in just a few years. Many people are suffering in private, and I want everyone to embrace the help you need and not suffer in silence. Take the time to love yourself and those around you because the journey in life moves very quickly. Understand the things we do leave everlasting gifts that enrich the lives of everyone around us. Sending much love to my family and those that helped me when I was here. So a wonderful message from Judy Garland. So two wonderful individuals that had sort of a message around balance and balance in life and spirituality that I thought was important. So with no further ado, let's get into the top 66 questions, the countdown here for this week. So number 66. Hi, Sterling. You have said several times over the last year or so that a Republican moderate would win against Ron DeSantis in Florida's governor's race. DeSantis has only two not very viable competitors in the primary. Charlie Crist is a former Republican Florida governor, but switched and is now a Democrat congressman. He's a moderate and is predicted to be DeSantis' opponent in November. Do you think it's possible that Charlie Crist is who you picked up on as the winner? Yes, it appears the moderate Republican, which is now a Democrat, that looks like they'll win against DeSantis. It looks like it very well could be Charlie Crist. It does. 65 in the countdown. Will Steve Bannon ever go to prison? For entertainment purposes only, in 12 to 24 months. 64. I just read that South Carolina and Nevada have voted in their primaries for Republicans that back the big lie. How concerned should we be that these people are still being voted in? Not very concerned. It's a small percentage of elections where this will be the case, and a larger percent of elections will be won by Democrats. So it's a very small percentage. And in fact, it reminds me, if you look at the prior race, the political race in Georgia, the 45-back candidate lost by a very big margin. So not to worry. 63. What natural disasters will Washington State have to deal with within the next few years? Numerous offshore earthquakes, so offshore producing some tsunami activity. So look for flooding and some earthquakes offshore. 62. Will the rise in gas prices end up hurting the oil companies because people are fed up and will start seeking alternatives to fuel and energy sources? Is this the catalyst to biofuels and green technology? Yes, it's actually part of kind of a universal plan, a plan within the universe to move the Earth more towards green technology. So it's solar power, electrical power, new battery technology, new green technology. So yes, I mean, all these things are part of a universal plan. And the rise in gas prices are certainly helping to move things that direction. 61. Hello, Sterling. I understand that one is always on their chosen life path and that you can never be off your life path. However, one may lose direction and be deterred. And this may influence how quickly you achieve your goals or how big of an impact you have in the world. My question is, how can you tell if you missed a change to achieve a goal or whether you are just someone who was supposed to be a late bloomer in life? Well, I always tell everyone, develop the skill of learning how to talk with your guides and angels real time, the way you see me doing it here on this channel. And so that allows you the ability to ask questions, get real-time answers. And so by using that or leveraging that gift, that will always help ensure that you're on your life path, you're doing what you need to do. You never get off your life path, but it's true. You can slow down the progress of your life path or speed it up or change the completeness of what you came down here to do or change the scale of achievements. So by having a real-time communication linkage with your guides and angels, you can ensure you're always living to your highest and best purpose. But you never really get off your life path, even though you may have missed a few signposts along the way. Hopefully that's helpful. 60 in our countdown. Britain is now sending asylum seekers to Rwanda for processing. There is widespread opposition and an 11th hour reprieve from the European Court of Human Justice that stopped the transfer. What do you see as the future of this procedure? I see whatever the courts have done here is going to stay in place for a number of months. So they'll stop the transfer of asylum seekers to Rwanda. But it also looks like there's something going on here in the European Union, if that's where this is at, right? I think it is, with Britain. But something going on here where they're going to speed up the process of reviewing asylum seekers in the courts. So they're going to stop the transfer to Rwanda and then speed up the process in the courts, put a new procedure. So by the end of this year, looks like this will be much less of a problem. 59. Hi, Sterling. I'm originally from Nigeria. There seems to be a lot of turmoil going on in the country with a lot of kidnappings. Will all this end soon? Will the next president help Nigeria thrive? Yes, but they're telling me it's going to take 2 election cycles. I'm not sure if the next cycle comes up 2023 and if they're 4-year terms. So They're showing me 2 election cycles for this to really start to turn around, but it looks like good progress is coming. 58. Can we get Louis DeJoy out of the post office before the midterm election? Yes, and this is already in process. So stay tuned. Looks like it's already in process behind the scenes. 57. Are spirit boxes real? Well, yes, they are. So basically, spirit boxes work around what's called EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena. And remember, all spirits are energy, essentially, core energy. And yes, they can communicate words, same way that individuals can hear maybe a loved one call out their name. There are certain types of spirit boxes or EVP boxes that are real. Now, they all use a little bit different technology, and they sample different frequency spectrums. So some work better than others, but in principle, they do capture EVPs. So they're true. 50. By the way, they'll just remind me that if whoever asked the question, if they're asking about spirit boxes to capture EVPs, that's the answer. They do work. 56. The country of Ecuador is seeing an alarming rise of repression and authoritarianism by the right-wing government. Indigenous protests are currently taking place, and one of the most important progressive indigenous leaders has been arrested under the pretense of fomenting violence. Will the Ecuadorian people ever be able to reverse this country's plunge into fascism? And will a left-wing president ever be allowed to govern again? Yes, being told that as this area of the world moves more towards a green economy, green technology, and substantial revenues coming from green technology, it's going to start to turn around the government, and there'll be more resources. But it looks like it's another 5-6 years here before it really starts to turn around. So I do see things going. I'm not sure if Ecuador is relying a lot on oil and petroleum or gas revenues, but it does look like there's a turnaround due to green technology over the next 5 to 6 years that then helps to turn around options in the government. So hopefully that helps. 55. Sterling, you successfully predicted Britney Spears getting out of her conservatorship. Do you see her getting justice for the abuse she went through while in it? Yes. Looks like there's more trials coming up, even one this summer, and looks like they'll be involving her father and other associates. So it does look like a substantial part of her fortune, some of the money that was peeled off, so we say, will come back to Britney. So there'll be justice. And I see several trials coming up, and the first of which is coming up here in the summer, I guess, involving her father. 54, Charles Booker is running for U.S. Senate against Rand Paul. Who do you see as the next senator? Looks like Booker will be the next senator, and that is based on the fact that there's a lot of January 6th information coming out that's going to affect a lot of individuals running for Congress, for entertainment purposes only, including Rand Paul. 53. Will Justin Bieber be able to recover from his paralysis? Yes. It was brought on by some inherent medical conditions he has, and looks like it may have been exacerbated by maybe a COVID condition at some point, but it does look like he'll make a full recovery within a few months here. So a steady recovery, it looks like he'll end up with a full recovery. 52. 6 Haitian men associated with the Special Olympics are currently missing from Orlando, Florida. Is there any foul play involved? No. Don't see foul play involved, but I see all of them with a strong desire to stay in the U.S. So it's like they're running and hiding and trying to somehow seek asylum or stay in the U.S. So it does not look like foul play to me. It looks like these were actions taken under their own power. 51. The Saudi royal family is backing a pro golf tour called the Live Golf Tour, that is spelled L-I-V. The PGA will not recognize this as a legitimate tour. Players are being paid in excess of $100 million to commit to the tour. This has been called sports washing, using sports to try to wash PGA's reputation by the Saudis. The PGA has suspended any tour member who takes part in this money grab. My question is, will this tour last? And will there be permanent sanctions against the players involved by the PGA? Well, the Live Golf Tour will last. It will be successful. And I do not see long-term problems for the professional golfers that join the tour. It looks like in the long run here, over the next couple of years, things will level out. And this Live Golf Tour will still be around. And a number of the players that joined it will somehow be forgiven and allowed to play with the PGA. So looks like given a few years here, this will all even out. Now, interesting, I'm being told the reason this evens out is that the Saudis are going to play a very important role in providing oil, gas, petroleum to the world to ease some of the problems that are taking place because of Russia and the war in Ukraine. So, this is sometimes the way the world works, is that sometimes there's a different kind of a balance that's achieved because of other things that countries are doing to help the world. So it looks like the Saudis helping with oil and gas and easing gas prices worldwide is going to be part of the way it's going to play out better for the Gulf. 50 in our countdown. This month, Prince's original band is starting their worldwide Prince Celebration Tour. Does Prince enjoy this? He values all the time and attention and love being shown by virtue of this tour, and values his former bandmates, and values all the new content and all the music that's going to be shared with the world. So he's very thankful for a loyal and loving set of bandmates and tour mates, and loves all the exposure of the new content to the world. And he does. 49, the countdown. Was Senator Grassley part of the January 6th conspiracy, and will he suffer any consequences? Now, for entertainment purposes only, later this year, it looks like he is going to meet up with some consequences due to January 6th activity. 48. About 5 months ago, I was talking with a friend while we were outside her apartment complex. I happened to see a big bluish-green teardrop-shaped light come straight down from the sky. Not an angel, like a falling star, but straight down. Can you tell me what this was? It was very beautiful. A little hard to tell from the exact description, but what I'm being told is that was space junk, like pieces of a satellite coming down to Earth. So it looks like space junk to me is what it was. 47. Will Nevada remain a blue state, and will Democratic Governor Sisolak be reelected in November? Yes, looks like Nevada will remain in a narrow way. It will remain blue, and Governor Sisolak will be reelected. Yes. 46. When Mount Vesuvius destroyed Pompeii, is there a reason that the ETs didn't step in to help? There is mutual agreement among many ET species not to intervene because there's something about the trajectory of humankind at that point. Interesting. So there was a mutual agreement among many ET species not to intercede and not to get involved. 45. Last week's show spoke about new forms of algae. A microbiologist and his team recently perfected a supplement to counteract osteoporosis, joint pain, and arthritis with red algae as one of the components. Will this discovery indeed help and lead to more cures using algae? Yes, algae is going to be very, very important in future years here. I'm being told there's thousands, even like 7,000 species of red algae, but a lot of the types of algae will be used to heal osteoporosis, this particular condition, osteoporosis, wasn't it? Yes, and joint pain, arthritis. But it's like algae is going to be used in many, many ways to help the health of human beings. So yes, I mean, a big confirmation for whoever asked this question. 44, my question is about EMF, electromagnetic fields, or radiation produced by cell phones and cell towers. An energy healer in Canada said that it is what is causing my stomach problems for the last 5 years or so. Is this true? And if so, how can I counteract it? Well, I don't see cellular service 5G or fifth generation towers creating your problem. However, you could have large electromagnetic fields around wherever you're living. So here's a simple way to handle that. Try to get a hold of what's called an EMF meter and work with a professional to see if there's any high levels of EMF in your environment. Yes, certainly high levels of EMF can affect us all, but as the way this question was asked, is it 5G towers or 5G wireless technology causing your problems? I don't see it. But it could be around a high electromagnetic field environment. So just one cautionary note there, just work with a professional and get a piece of testing gear just to check. 43. When I think back to my first memory, I recall being in my crib and my mom walking into the room. However, I have a memory of my birth and of bright lights and a doctor wearing one of those old headbands with mirrors. I also have a vague memory of being in a bright white room with men or beings all dressed in white sitting at a table. I was on one side, they're on the other. Are these created memories or is there something to them? This is actually a true memory of your actual life path prior to coming down to Earth. So all the men dressed in white, and sometimes there's women too, kind of the final panel, if you will, of guides and angels with final instructions before you come down. So these are all early life path memories just prior to coming down here from heaven. So congratulations. And by the way, many people have these kind of memories, including my wife. So congratulations on that. 42, can your guides tell me if the Republican rebuttal to the January 6th committee will cause any damage to any Democrats? Will people be swayed to their side again? So no damage to Democrats. And it looks like the January 6th committee and all the trials and things we're seeing on television are going to sway independents and even some portions of Republicans and not damage really any Democrats. So it's going to have a positive effect overall and kind of moving the needle more towards the Democratic way of thinking and Democrat election. 41. I was in our barn and saw a dragonfly stuck in a spider's web up on the ceiling. I lifted the dragonfly down and removed most of the cobweb off of it. Then the dragonfly lifted up and flew out of the barn, trailing some remaining web. Several minutes later, to my surprise, it flew back in the door and landed on my hand, letting me take off the remaining web. Was this a super intelligent dragonfly or something else? This was a direct demonstration of the intelligence of animals, including dragonflies. And you've heard me say that all animals are from the angelic realm. They're all here to teach us lessons. So this was definitely a demonstration of the higher intelligence and angelic, loving realm of all animals. So it was definitely interacting with you, and it was a thank you for the kindness. It's a gift for you, is what I'm being told. 40. A few weeks ago, you mentioned that you saw blockchain technology be compromised in the future. What is your time frame for future? What technology will be used? Will it still be a digital ledger technology, a DLT? Blockchain is only one of several DLTs. And that's all very true. So sorry to be more technical here, but as supercomputing technology comes on the scene, blockchain technology will be somewhat compromised and they'll be made more robust. So it'll be a bit of an inflection point for blockchain technology when supercomputers come on board, but then it'll be revamped and hardened, and you'll still see a continuation of blockchain technology, but it'll be compromised a bit when supercomputers come on the scene. I don't want to go through a lot of that technology here on the show. But if there are more questions around supercomputing technology, and I've talked about that in other shows, happy to address it. 39, what has happened to Navalny? All has gone quiet. Well, I'm being told he's been moved to a different prison, a different location, but this has something to do with the viability of using Navalny as a negotiating point with the Russia-Ukraine war. There's something going on here where they're going to try to use him in terms of negotiation. So he was moved to a different prison to somehow facilitate that. And only the Russians could really establish why they thought that was going to be a better way to do it. Maybe it puts Navalny in more danger, and they're trying to use that as leverage in negotiation. But it has everything to do with the war in Ukraine. 38. Hi, Sterling. Can you ask your guides about Blake Lemoine, I think is the answer, a Google engineer that said a computer AI program he was working on is now sentient with a perception of a small child, human child. Where is this going, and how fast will AI programs be recognized as more than a machine? Will they want other rights? Well, all AI or artificial intelligence technology will be used at the discretion of humankind. So never overtake the knowledge, if you will, or not going to be in control of humankind. Certainly going to be used in a way that will mimic human behavior. So it'll be used to do things like, be customer service friendly for a lot of companies, and be able to look for situations in the world and anticipate problems in the world. So AI technology will be very helpful, but it'll never get to a point where it supersedes humankind, if you will. So hopefully that's helpful, but certainly the fact that AI is becoming sentient and somewhat similar to that of a small child is certainly something that's been forecast, and that's all part of where AI technology is headed. So it'll be much more human-like acting. 37, why do people get Alzheimer's disease, and is there a way to reverse the damage or prevent onset? Well, it's all being caused by a buildup of certain proteins in the cells and in the brain, I guess, that then produce plaque. There will be CRISPR technology coming within 10 years that will help with this. And actually I'm being reminded that in 5 years, there'll be trials for CRISPR technology that will help with this. But somehow all based on the way proteins are, certain types of proteins gather and are processed by cells in the brain, and I guess around the brainstem. So I'm not a doctor. I always have to say I'm not a doctor, but that's what they're telling me. 36, several years ago, a close friend was in the hospital. I did not feel they were getting proper care. I made arrangements to take them to a different hospital. Before we left, I asked the nurse for their paperwork and chart notes. They refused. I let them know that they would be requested and they needed to release them immediately. When the nurse started to answer me, her face seemed to morph into a wolf-like monster. It was just for a second, but I cannot forget it. What was that? That was the complete manifestation of human anger. So in some way, obviously extreme anger, and that manifested kind of in the vision that you saw in her face. Kind of an interesting artifact. Okay, 35 in our countdown. Are there other planets anywhere that have cities like on Earth and human beings with beautiful art, music, animals, and nature? Are these planets less polluted and less corrupt? Well, yes to all the above. There are other solar systems, other planets. The government's already aware of it. We actually have mapping of these other solar systems and planets and life forms on these planets. So the answer is yes. They are around, other solar systems. And there's research you can actually pull up that will show you this. But all this is coming within the next 4 to 5 years. You're going to see a lot of this information more publicly available. 34, how does the coming fire season look for California, especially Northern California, like Sonoma County? Well, like all areas of California, including Northern California and Sonoma County, we're going to have a bit of an aggressive fire season. So everybody be careful and be prepared for evacuations. So that means just make sure you have everything you need to evacuate quickly. 33, I'm a senior and I'm teaching myself how to draw portraits and paint. I've asked my guide for help, but is there more help available from other guides and angels for learning a new skill? Yes, I mean, once you learn how to communicate with your guides and angels, you can easily call in other special, famous people from history and other guides and other angels to help you. That all works through the Creative Mind Center for all of us. So yes, once you get that communication flow going, you can easily call in other experts to help you with that. Sure can. 32 in the countdown. Michael Flynn, what is his fate? For entertainment purposes only, I see him serving in jail next year. So it looks like there's some jail time coming up for him. 31, will there be measures put in place before the next presidential election that require candidates to release taxes, have a background check, etc.? So we won't have a repeat of 45. Yes, I'm being told this is already being drafted by the House and Senate as we speak. It may not be public, but it's already being drafted by the House and Senate. So you'll hear about this very shortly. 30, Sterling, the UN is saying that the war in Ukraine could lead to a major food crisis. Ukraine is a top producer of wheat and sunflower oil, amongst other products. Do your guides see a major crisis in this next year or next year because of this? Well, not a major food crisis, but I do see kind of a reallocation of the way grains and wheats and these things are being used. So more careful usage of them. It looks to me like there's some combination of grain and wheat supply between Russia and Ukraine, something like a quarter of that, a quarter of the world's supply is somehow supplied between Ukraine and Russia. But I'm also being told that shipments of grain, say wheat, of Ukraine are actually still on schedule, even with the war. So there's going to be a reallocation. You're going to be careful. We're going to feel a bit of a food pinch, but not a major food shortage. So I want everybody to be, calm down a little bit. I know that some people forecasted major food shortages. We're going to be able to supplant and support the world's needs, but shifting around requirements a little bit and how it's used. 29, I'm also being told other areas of the world are going to support whatever losses that we'll see from Ukraine and Russia. So it's going to work out. 29, lately the smoke alarm near my bedroom goes off for no reason. No smoke and the batteries are fine. It's not chirping. The alarm will go off a couple of times and then stop. It's always just as I'm drifting off to sleep. What is happening? This appears to be a grandmother or a mother that's trying to reach out to you and say hello. So congratulations, embrace that. You can also tell your mother or your grandmother that it's ruining your sleep and, do it at other hours. So this is a benevolent spirit. It looks like it's a mother or grandmother. 28, did former Representative Paul Ryan accept any Russian money? And will he face any future prosecution in connection with accepting this money or collusion in the 2016 election? For entertainment purposes only, I see some difficulty here for him. It looks like he was less of a player, if you will, in this area, but there's some difficulty he's going to have to resolve. So hopefully that answers the question, whoever asked this question. 27, recently a woman was trampled by an elephant and died. During the lady's funeral, the elephant came back and attacked her corpse again. Why? It's all related to something having to do with the elephant's offspring, or the way this lady interacted with the elephant and the elephant's children or offspring in a wildlife preserve. So I can't speak to all the details here, but they always say never mess with motherhood. There's something going on here regarding this elephant's offspring and children in a wildlife preserve. So I'm sorry to hear all that, but this is somehow related to the offspring of the elephant. Interesting. 26, will Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson be reelected? No, it doesn't appear he'll be reelected, and I think that might be a third term for him or something. So it does not appear he'll be reelected. No, it does not look like that way. No. Number 25, is Saudi Arabia interfering with our country and politicians? Absolutely, including manipulation of oil, depending on who's in the presidency. So absolutely, this is going on. 24 in the countdown. In Quebec, the provincial government and our premier Legault are trying to make it illegal to speak English and are trying to pass Bill 996, they say, to protect the French language. What will be the outcome of this bill? I'm seeing it's fought tremendously due to economic effects or effects on the economy. So it's like teachers, business people, technology companies all coming out to fight it in a very big way because of the effects of an economy. So it does not look like it'll be successful. That is this Bill 96. 23, the wealth gap in America, according to October 2020 Forbes article, seems surreal. The top 1% of households have 15 times the wealth than the bottom 50% combined. And that was 2 years ago. Will this gap ever be closed enough to create a more humane, balanced society? You know, it will be, but it's going to take another decade or two, but it's because of new minimum tax, corporate tax rates of 15%, forgiveness of student loans, investments in inner cities. But it looks like as the money starts to shift, it'll create, better opportunity. And so for people that didn't have opportunities for entrepreneurship or new businesses or carrying a large student debts, a lot of that's going to help to shift the equation. So you got another decade or so here, but the corporate minimum tax will be for 15% will be with us within a year or two here. So that's going to kind of start that whole process along with new green technology. So many factors here, but it'll shift the balance eventually, another decade or two here. 22, Sterling, a couple of shows ago, you mentioned the Federation of Light. Who are they? It's a group of ETs and angels that they're looking after the universe and the world to help keep it safe and make sure new technologies are put in the hands of humankind, like CRISPR technology and like stopping, nuclear weapons from going off. But that is the primary function of that particular Federation of Light. Big group between angels and extraterrestrials. 21. When we are reunited with a loved one on the other side, does the grief of missing them just disappear? Yes, absolutely. You're overtaken by love and all the beauty of being back with them again. Absolutely. 20. Many psychics believe that crystals clean their energy and charge if you put them out in under a full moon, either outside or in a windowsill. Do crystals actually cleanse energy and charge under a full moon? Well, yes, it's interesting. Crystals do react to light. In fact, some crystals grow under light. Light energy does change the frequency. If you look at the lattice structure within crystals, so light energy does affect crystals. Whoever asked this question, you can certainly re-energize crystals by them being in light. So if that is what the person is defining as cleansing them, that's fine. It's a fine explanation. There's no evil energy or dark energy in crystals, but they certainly they do react to light. And so that, in fact, if you're saying that renews the crystal, it certainly can energize crystals. So to a large extent, everything that this person is asking this question is true. As I said, they remind me even some crystals, some types of crystals even grow in light. Takes, hundreds or thousands of years, but certainly crystals are affected by light. 19. Mackenzie Scott Bezos and Melinda Gates appear to be very philanthropic, but quiet about it, unlike their husbands. In fact, ex-husbands. Do you see them affecting positive change in the country in the near future? Yes, absolutely. In fact, they've both formed their own separate foundations away from whatever foundations they had with their husbands. Like the Gates Foundation. It looks like Melinda has parted ways with the Gates Foundation, started her own foundation. And it looks like Jeff Bezos' wife, I forget her first name, Mackenzie, has also started her own foundation as well. Looks like they've already given away hundreds of millions of dollars to help society. So yes, big things happening there. Absolutely. Okay, number 18 in the countdown. Will Facebook Meta still be around and popular in the 2030s? Well, for those who know, Facebook rebrand themselves to the word Meta, and that's really a play on words referring to the metaverse. So let me first answer the first question here. Yes, Facebook and Meta will be around in the 2030s and still be a force. Likewise, the metaverse, which is a collection of many technologies, will be thousands of companies involved in the metaverse, and that will be around over the next number of decades in a very big way. And the metaverse really combines a number of technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, e-commerce, cloud platforms, many different technologies, social media technologies, gaming. And what's interesting is that the metaverse, we've already seen a number of companies like JP Morgan and H&M. H&M created their own virtual metaverse shopping experience where you can go through and walk through their stores virtually. So whoever asked the question, Facebook and Meta will be around, as will the metaverse. Two different topics, but they'll both be around and very strong in the 2030s and over a number of decades. 17. Hello, Sterling. Sometimes when I wake from a dream, it feels like I was in another real place, living another life with people that are not in my life here. I seem to go back to that same place when I dream. People with different names. Is this another dimension? And am I living two lives at the same time? No, it's not another dimension, but it's a dream space you create along with your guides and angels to provide some insight and some healing. So it's a dream space that's been created, not another dimension for you. 16, I've had many transcendental experiences, but one I find very mystifying and odd was a holographic type image that appeared in front of me once, as if transport in time to a 12th century monk, and to see a 12th century monk with his beige robe. I saw his lips moving as if talking to me, but I heard nothing. He clearly was trying to say something to me, but I couldn't hear. What did he say? And what in the world was he? Well, this is one of your spiritual guides trying to communicate with you. You actually had a prior lifetime with this particular, it was a monk, right? 12th century monk. You had a prior lifetime with them. And it's now he's one of your guides trying to communicate with you. So as you learn how to communicate with your guides and angels, you'll start hearing the messages very directly. 15, I had a dream where there was a way to stop your body's time clock by taking a certain drink that was able to both heal you as well as stop your body from aging. Is that going to be real, or was I just having a silly dream? It's already real. Now, this is something that extraterrestrials already use. ETs can affect the temporal or time dimension, and they certainly can stop time and have done it for certain people that have been abducted. But ETs already understand how to do this. So it was a dream, you had a dream. This is real, but not been exposed to everybody in humankind in a widespread basis. Interesting enough, time is the fourth dimension, and ETs have mastered ways to control it, which also allows them to move through the universe, other galaxies as well. So, larger topic there, but this technique of stopping time can be done. It can be used for healing, and it'll be more available in terms of a technology to humankind shortly. It's already being used by some scientists right now that are already working with ETs. So maybe a larger answer this person was looking for. 14 in the countdown. Would your guides have any advice on how to lessen the frequency of my migraine attacks? Well, I'm not a doctor. I always have to say that. However, it looks to me like something related to the foods you're taking in, additives in foods. And I see this with a number of people. So take a very good look to the foods you're taking in, because it looks like some ingredients or preservatives are exacerbating your problem. And may in fact be nitrites. Some nitrites are found in some foods. Maybe it's MSG, but there's something here that's an additive that's affecting them. So hopefully that's helpful. 13, when there's a tragedy where more than one soul dies at the same event, do the souls all see each other as they pass? Yes, absolutely. Major catastrophe, souls do have soul contracts. They pass in a very similar way. They see each other. Very characteristic of what we saw with Uvalde shooting and the Buffalo shooting and 9/11 and even the Holocaust. So yes, souls do certainly, when they pass in large numbers like that in very similar events, the soul contracts allow them to see themselves as they pass over in large groups. They do. 12, will NATO and the West give Ukraine enough and proper ammunition and guns in time to hold off Russia? Yes, absolutely. I see full stocks of advanced weaponry and ways that will allow Ukraine to start to control the skies. A lot of advanced weapons, and they've been going over now for weeks and months. Not all of it's been fully publicized in a good way, because the more this is publicized and Russia hears about it, the more threatening it is to Russia. So yes, I do see many advanced weapons here continuing to go over to Ukraine and help them hold off Russia. I do. 11, last month I was worried about pain I was having in my lower back, knee, and fingers. I was very concerned since I just retired and that I would be in constant pain and not be able to enjoy my retirement. One night when I was very concerned, I had a dream that I met a man who took my hand and walked around with me through an outdoor market. I don't remember if there was any conversation, but I do remember waking up with a total sense of peace and comfort. I also realized that eating meat was causing the pain. Since then, I've cut back on eating meat and the pain has totally resolved. What was that whole thing about? Well, that was one of your guides and angels giving you clear messaging that there's something about your food intake that was causing your pain. You know, it's interesting. One of the prior questions here was also about food intake, and I think it was exacerbating migraine headaches. But your guides and angels will work with you to try to lead you the right direction, to try to help you in life, and that's what that was all about. Number 10, the countdown. Can you look at the political future of Gavin Newsom? His next possible term as California governor, how will that go? And then what? Do you see him as a future president? Yes, I see him eventually running for president. I do. Got a number of years out to go for that. I do see a successful second term for Gavin Newsom as the governor of California. And for those that are not aware, he survived a recall election here just recently. So I do see big things and good things coming for Gavin Newsom. Number 9, when I was 14, I had a weird experience. I was taking a bath, relaxing on the tub when my eyes closed. I remember opening my eyes and being able to see myself from above laying in the tub. I was floating. I felt so scared because I didn't understand what was happening. Can you please explain if this was real and what was it? Well, this was an astral travel experience. It's the beginning of an astral travel experience, which could be quite jarring, if you will, if you don't expect it. It's an out-of-body experience, and it's not an NDE. It's not a near-death experience, which means you actually really moving into the death realm and being guided by your guardian angels, your birth angels. Anyway, this is the beginning of an astral travel experience, and you can control this experience, but it does take some practice and working with a professional. But that's what that was. And certainly if you don't, you can keep yourself well grounded and stopping yourself from an astral travel experience if you like. So a little bit of an out of control experience there, but congratulations, you had a chance to see what that was all about. 8, Sterling. I keep hearing the sinister laugh, which scares me a lot. When I was younger, I would hear it a lot from an abusive sibling. Then it would go away. When my son was born, I heard it again in the hospital. It has been 38 years since I last heard it, but I heard it again the other day. What is going on? Well, I was have to say I'm not a doctor, but I'm being told this is the reoccurrence of a memory of abuse. And so it might be good to check in with a professional, a life coach or something to try to kind of work through this. But this laugh or the sinister laugh you're hearing is kind of what I call like a ringing of the bell. It's actually your guides and angels almost giving you a tap on the shoulder saying something here that needs to be looked at, part of a life path lesson, unresolved. So that's what that's about. It's consider that a tap on the shoulder by your guides and angels. Number 7 in the countdown. In regards to the TED principle you discussed, right? So, and I'll explain what that is. TED, the T being time alignment, E being energy alignment, and the D being a desire to communicate. This is the way you connect with people on the other side. So this person says, my question is about raising one's vibration in order to match with an individual on the other side. How does one go about doing that? In the past, I have found emotions like pleasure and happiness to access what I believe to be a higher vibrational state for a short period of time. Many others, myself and many others, are feeling depressed and having difficulty raising our vibration. Can the guides offer assistance on how to overcome this stagnation? Well, first off, this TED principle, and I've discussed in other shows, but those are the 3 primary factors involved in any psychic medium communicating with an individual on the other side. It's time alignment. Remember, time moves faster on the other side than it does here. It moves the speed of light. So one day here can be like 3 years or 5 years on the other side. E, standing for energetic alignment, which this person's asking about, which I'll address. And then D being the desire of both the psychic medium wanting to communicate and also the spiritual person or the entity, or the spirit on the other side of the person across wanting to communicate. That's the desire. So regarding the middle term, the energetic level, this has everything to do with working with your guides and angels to be at peace, be centered, be in control, be in a loving space. All those things energetically help you align yourself with individuals on the other side. It does take practice. So I would tell this person, whoever asked the question, start off learning how to communicate real time with your guides and angels. They're standing closest to you. That work towards family members, and they can work towards other types of spirits or people on the other side. So it takes practice. It's like being a musician. You're not always good when you first start off, but it's practice, practice, practice. So simply put, start off with making sure you're calm, centered, no anxiety, free from depression. That's a good starting point. Certainly if you're in a happy state, that helps. And then work towards real-time communication with your guides and angels. Establishing that connection will help then get you to other spirits, other people on the other side. Hope that helps. This is a larger topic, and at some point I may do a show just on the TED principle and kind of how to work through it. Number 6 in our countdown, will Ukraine be an EU member in the next 3 years? Yes, absolutely. It's accelerating very quickly. I think it's going to happen much faster than 3 years. I think we're going to see even this year some real acceleration towards Ukraine becoming an EU member and eventually a NATO member as well. Absolutely. Okay, 5 in our countdown. Ohio's new gun law went into effect Monday, June 13th, whereby no permit, background check, or training are required. Additionally, school staff were also included in this law. Will this law increase the number of homicides, suicides, and accidents? When will this law be overturned? Well, I don't see it directly being overturned, but it looks like Ohio, they asked about Ohio, is joining a long list of other states, like 24 or 25 other states, because I think this relates somewhat to a concealed gun law. So I don't see it being overturned. However, I do see new gun legislation, safety legislation going through Congress that has to do with putting minimum age limits on purchasing firearms, certain firearms at 21, extensive background checks, red flag laws. So I see new gun safety laws going through Congress. They're going to help make sure that this particular Ohio state law, like the other 23 or 24 states, will stay in check. So I'm saying that the effect of the new laws in Congress will ensure that we don't see a higher degree of homicides or suicides, that kind of a thing. So it's a process here, maybe a little bit different answer than the question that this person was asking, but looks like the effects of Congress are going to kind of counterbalance some of the things going on in Ohio. Number 4 in the countdown. YouTube has a video of a discovery of an ancient civilization buried beneath the ice in Antarctica. Is this true? And will it be revealed at some future date? Could this civilization have been an earlier alien city or a planet or more highly developed human one? Well, this is all true. This is an extraterrestrial base. There's actually several bases in Antarctica. I think they're asking about Antarctica here, right? Yeah. That is an alien base. There's many, and there's some that the US government and other foreign governments are also maintaining and managing and visiting. So it's all true. It was not a human civilization. It was an extraterrestrial ET-based civilization, and there are additional other functioning bases there as well. 3 in the countdown. Is part of the high gas prices an attempt by the oil companies to make the Biden administration look like a failure on inflation in order to affect the November election? Well, yes, this is absolutely the case. And it looks like that this is done from time to time, depending on who the president is in office. So yes, this is in effect. But I do see new meetings going on with Biden, with the Saudis to try to unlock much greater supplies of oil and petroleum and gas to the world. So I think we talked about this earlier in the show because of the somebody's asking about the Live or Leave golf tournament. But I saw the fact that Saudis were going to rise to the occasion with supplying oil. So the answer is yes. I think this question was about oil and gas companies, as gas prices. So I guess I'm going an extent farther here. It's not just the oil and gas companies, it's where all the gas is coming from that's kind of affecting the whole supply chain. And yes, the whole supply chain does manipulate those things depending on which president's in office. So hopefully that helps. Number 2 in the countdown, do you see anything coming up this week? Well, successful Saudi oil negotiations coming up. We were just talking about that. I see tremendous progress on new vaccines coming up that will support new variants coming up the end of this year. I see more real cleanup of the supply chain problems in many areas. But now the supply chain problems worldwide are leading to vast amounts of goods that are available now. And many stores are going to have to discount those goods to move them forward much faster. I do see tremendous progress in Congress here around gun safety legislation, just like many of the survivors or the children that came through weeks ago on the Uvalde shooting had mentioned, and the Buffalo shooting mentioned that they saw the law of part of their soul path was moving forth gun safety legislation. So we're seeing that happen. I'm seeing more of that coming up this week and seeing much more testimony coming up this January 6th testimony around that commission. We're going to see rebuttals back and forth between 45 and other GOP. Going to see some hidden testimony that's now going to be revealed. So a lot of good progress coming up around gun safety legislation, supply chain, oil and gas negotiations with Saudis. So again, for me, my team is saying many more positive developments this week. And last but not least, our number 1 in the countdown. Do you have anything your guides want to share? Take time to relax and enjoy the efforts and the things you're doing to move everything forward to the new universe, the new Earth. Everything you're doing is contributing to the new Earth, the new universe every day. Relax, push forward, enjoy, and know it's coming. So on that note, we'll conclude today's show for Sunday, June 19th, 2022. Again, if you need to reach me, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the Book a Session tab. I am doing a show with Linda Grindle, the Comanche Psychic, also on Sunday, June 19th. You can look for that on Linda's channel. And until we meet again next Sunday, all the best to you. I'm going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. See you next week.